Just arrived.
Are we ready to see the monkeys?
Yeah.
Go, yeah! We've already got to. Oh, well, yeah, there is that.
Claire's just beating the kids up.
Get on with Darcy. Darcy, go on with Finn.
See if there's a spare one.
They look like they're having a bundle of fun.
Excited to see the sea lions.
Welcome to the sea lion display. My name is Ellie, and as you can tell, I brought two of our sea lions out to eat all. And the first job for these two is to give everybody a nice wave hello. But these guys, they won't wave to you unless you guys are all waving to them first. So everybody shove an arm in the air, give it a little waggle around. There we go, that is most here. Come on, you two, shall we wave back? Say hello to everybody. That's it. Excellent job, well done. So these two, they're both California sea lions. And as that name just suggests, you can of course find the largest population of this particular type of sea lion all along the coasts of California. You can also find them as far north as Canada, where it does get quite cold, and as far south as Mexico, where of course it's lovely and warm. So these guys, they're pretty wide-ranging and they're versatile too, which means they can cope with the good old British weather. So while we were all melting last week, it wasn't bothering these guys one tiny little bit. Now these two, they're not classed as fully grown. Certainly not this little fella. This little fella, nowhere near fully grown, and he's not going to be till he's about 18 years old. By that time, he can reach lengths of around 2 to 2.5 metres, so he's going to get quite a bit taller, but he could also end up weighing anything between 30 to possibly even 40 stone. So he's also going to get a lot fatter and a lot heavier too. To try and give you an idea of what 40 stone looks like, this chap here, he's weighing in at 21. So in theory, he could have doubled in size. Now he's 18, so he isn't going to get that much bigger, maybe a stone or two. But if you imagine two of him stuck together, that's what 40 stone looks like. Let me introduce you to them both. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them as well. We'll start with this little fella. This little guy, he's called Roger. Roger is one of our youngsters. He's 9 years old. He's very clever, he's very excitable, and he's very, very friendly. He does love a little flipper shake at the start of display. Hello, little man. How are you doing? You okay? Oh, thank you. It's good. That was really sloppy. But thank you. Now, the big noisy one over in the corner there, he's called Arthur. Arthur is the biggest and the eldest of the 3 sea lions we look after. He's also the naughtiest. He's most likely to muck about and cause trouble. He could cause trouble in an empty house. And at the moment, it's breeding season for these guys. So that means Arthur has stopped thinking with his brain. Over the next 6 weeks, it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster with Arthur. Because his testosterone levels get so high, he can't think straight. So some displays he'll come out and he'll be absolutely fine, and other displays we might get 5-10 minutes in and he suddenly decides he's had enough. So it kind of is what it is. He can't help it, so we just have to go along with it. So everything over the next 6 weeks is seat of our pants. So we'll just see how he goes. But what I don't want to do is just leave him out. I'd rather give him the option to come out and say no than just not use him at all. So we'll just see how he goes. Having said all of that, he's really very clever, and don't let his size put you off. He is genuinely a big old softie. He likes a flipper shake too, don't you? All right, big man, are you going to try and be good in this display? You're going to try, are you? Okay, well, we're about to find out, guys, that is for sure. So, the first thing that we're going to ask these two to show you is an ability that sea lions are famous for. And that's their ability to balance things on their noses. Now, I've got some footballs over here, so I'm going to try and get them both to do a bit of showing off. Now, we'll give Arthur his football first, and then we'll move to Roger in a second. All right, Arthur, you hold on to that one, buddy. That's it. And Raj, you have a go with that one. Oh, not quite. Try again. Now, lots of people know sea lions can balance, but not everybody knows how they do it. The secret to it is the lovely whiskers you can see on the sea lions' faces. Their whiskers are really, really sensitive. And if you guys look closely at Arthur, you can see his whiskers are not only pointing upwards, he's moving them around as well. And that's because he's feeling which way the football's moving. Now, all these guys have to do is listen to their whiskers and then move their heads around with that long, flexible neck to try to stop it from falling off. And as we've seen with Roger, if he's not listening or concentrating, they can't balance that ball. Now, those whiskers, they do have a much more important use. They're not there to help where the fish and squid are hiding. Their whiskers are so sensitive, they already know what type of fish and how big it is without needing to see it first. That's it, Art? Yeah, give them both a big round of applause. Well done, you two. Excellent job, using their massive paddle-like front flippers. Show everyone your front flippers, you two. Let's see how big they are. There we go, they're huge. Now, when sea lions swim, they look a little bit like they're flying because they move these paddles up and down like a pair of wings through the water. This will propel them at a top speed of between 15 to 20 miles an hour. Now, if Arthur and Roger were both seals, their front flippers would be much, much smaller. They'd actually be about the size of my hands, and they'd be stuck to the sides of their bodies like that, making them really difficult to swim with. In fact, Arthur, can I borrow you? I'm just going to hold my hand up next to Arthur's front flipper, just so you guys can see the massive size difference. So, there we go, look at that. You can get 4 of my hands to one of Arthur's front flippers. So seals, they don't use the front flippers for swimming. They're not going to get very far, very fast. So instead, seals use the back flippers. Sorry, Rog. I've got it. You get back up. You get back up. There's your lad. So seals, yeah, they swim with the back flippers, and they move those back flippers from side to side like a fish. Now, because these guys swim using their upper bodies, they do have incredible muscles in their chests and their shoulders, which means they're really very strong. And Arthur is really good at the old gymnastics as well. Arthur, show everybody a front flipper stand for you. Show everyone how strong you are. There we go. Now, it's impressive, isn't it? Yeah, very good, Arthur. That's lovely. Now that is something only a sea lion can do. Seals can't do it. Their tiny front flippers wouldn't hold them up. Now if you're regular visitors, you'll already know what I'm about to tell you. But for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been trying to teach Roger to do the front flipper stand as well. He's never really quite got the hang of it though. When Arthur does it, as you've just seen, he lifts his bum up in the air and he makes that lovely arch. When Roger does it, he looks like a seesaw, because his little bum goes up and down furiously. Now I am going to get to show you for 2 reasons. Firstly, practice makes perfect. But secondly, it's quite funny. So Rog, do you want to show everybody what yours looks like? Come on, let's have a look at yours. There we go. So this is Roger's attempt at a front flipper stand. Now, I do live in hope that one day he might suddenly get the hang of it. But until that day comes, let's give him a little round of applause for trying. Arthur, come and meet me over here. So me and Arthur, we're going to go for a little wander around, just so I can show you guys what I'm waffling on about. And as we go, we'd like to look at all of Arthur's flippers. But before we do set off, I just want to tell you about their back flippers, because sea lions, they're pretty unique. They can turn their back flippers forwards or backwards. And Arthur's done quite a good demonstration there. He's got one flipper pointing at you guys and the other flipper's pointing that way. But when these guys are swimming, they have their back flippers out behind them and they use them as a rudder to help them steer. But when they jump on land, they turn them forwards to make a pair of feet. So when we set off in a second, watch what he does with those back flippers. He's going to turn them forward means sea lions are really mobile on land. Arthur, he's a big lad, but he's agile. Arthur can jump over things. He can use his back flippers to climb and try to reach for things. These guys can run at speeds of up to 10 miles an hour and they can roll themselves over. So all in all, sea lions, they're fast, mobile creatures. Now, seals, on the other hand, they move differently, don't they, Arthur? Are you going to show everyone? Come on then. How does a seal move, Arthur? Yeah, there you go. Seals jiggle along on their bellies and they look like ginormous slugs. Roger, and we're going to see how many he can catch. Alright, Rog, are you ready, little man? You've got to concentrate now. Here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. They were all really easy. But the last one, we tried to make it a bit harder. I'm going to spin it. It'll make it faster and harder for Roger to catch. So if he does, you guys know what to do. Alright, little man, are you ready? Here it comes. Up. And over. Yeah, that was a cracker. Moment, he can hit the high ball. I don't know. Down there, Roger, is that alright? For those of you who haven't been before, Roger is quite the daredevil. So he likes to start his high ball attempt from up there, on top of his tower. So in a moment, Roger's going to show you how mobile he is by climbing those stairs to the platform at the top. He's then going to dive off into the water, swim across, and try to touch that pink ball. Now, of course, if he does, you guys got to give him a huge round of applause. He's been ever so good. And this takes quite a bit of effort. Before I send him off, though, here is my warning for you lovely folks in the front row. This is the point where you might get a bit of a splash. You already know, don't you, Trouble? So you're all right. But yeah, shouldn't be too bad, and it might go that way, but usually it goes that way. So, Roger, if you are ready, you head over to your tower. That's off you go. Now, if you can, watch how quickly he gets up these stairs. There we go. He's already at the top. He's away. Will he hit the high ball? And his high ball goes to this mark just here. So not a lot higher. But here's the thing. Arthur doesn't jump off of the tower. In fact, Roger is the only sea lion brave enough to do that here. Arthur starts from where he is now. He's still got to touch it with his nose, but he is bigger. He is heavier, and he's got further to travel. So this really just goes to show you the power that Arthur has in his big old front flippers. So of course, if Arthur hits it, you've got to give him an even bigger round of applause. Now here's the thing, guys. We always get you lot to send Arthur on his way. And you do that by shouting 1, 2, 3, and then shout go. The louder you are, the better Arthur does. And if you're not loud enough, he won't leave that stand. So the louder, the better, okay? Now I'm going to get you started, but the rest is down to you guys, okay? Are you ready? Here we go! 1! He's away. Will he hit the high ball? And a bit of a splash too.
I don't know.
Jamie, come!
Come on, Jamie. Come and get on one. You're getting on this. You're getting on one. Quick, you got to get on here before it starts. Go around that side. Or do you want to sit on the back of Morgan's? You're on. Hold on. Sit down. Yeah. Oh, it's going. You hold on to the ears so you don't fall. You hold on to the ear so you don't fall off. Yeah, like that, yeah. Yeah, horns. Gotta spin it.
Won't be fun.
Oh.
Spin it.
Go on then, spin it. Fast.
Why can't they just stop oven? You're going to be so used to fun things. Right.
There it goes again. What did he say?
Again.
She's just appearing from the edge of the tower, going over the lake, and hopefully she'll come in and do a lovely flight through us. So this is Holly, she's an American bald eagle. And look how stunning that bird is. Could you have a round of applause for that flight? That took a lot of energy, that. So Holly is an American bald eagle, and hands down, these are one of my favourite eagles to work with. Just look at the size of her, she's massive. So the American bald eagle was almost killed out of America, but then Benjamin Franklin chose one of these to represent America as the national emblem. And now this bird has so much protection, it's doing so well. So from being almost extinct, we managed to bring numbers back. And now this bird breeds on every single American state, and they're doing amazing. So you'll see the size of this eagle. You'll notice that white head and white tail she's got. So flying over the lake like you've just seen, that is a very natural place you'll tend to find bald eagles. Flying, they'll stick very near to water. It's because this bird is a fish eater. So the main sort of diet for Holly out in the wild consists of all sorts of fish, and she'll scavenge a lot as well. And what they'll do, they'll snatch the fish off the top of the water. So as you saw her flying over the lake, stunning. You look at that beak, that's razor sharp. It's got to be razor sharp because she's got to cut into fish. And if you imagine she's catching a salmon on a really cold day, she's living in Alaska, that salmon's going to be frozen solid by the time she carries it back to her nest or her tree pot. He's being harassed by a wasp at the moment. All right, come on, a couple more times. one more. So he screens his head off, warns the farmers. Could he have a big round of applause? I think he was amazing. So that scream, as you can tell, is really loud. Once the farmer hears that going off, he knows there's something dangerous about and he can protect his livestock. All right, Steve, I know you like the attention, mate. We've got to go away now. Thank you very much. So we're going to miss Steve away. Could he have another big round of applause as he hopefully makes his way off? Oh, new feathers, because you imagine you've got the same feathers all year round. They're going to get really dirty. They're going to start getting cracked. And you're not going to be able to fly as well, so they molt them out every single year. So with Ernie, he might cut it a little bit fine, so if you have to duck, please, you might have to, pretty much I'm saying, you might have to duck. So with him, he'll hunt all sorts in the wild. He's living in the middle of the rainforest. He'll be catching things like small rodents, small birds. They'll be seen taking lizards, sometimes snakes. They'll hunt whatever.
Just waiting on the train.
On the left, we would normally see two zebras here, but it looks like they've gone in. They're in and out all day, these two. When we're coming out later on the other side, we glance across, if I can remember, and we can always nip back and let you have a look. Oh, hang on, coming out. Must have heard me. You got Pear David's deer to your right, and Bactrian camel over the far side. We should get a bit closer to them on our way out, providing they don't move. Bactrian camel and Pear David's deer. But to the left we have a zebra. There's two of them actually, the other one must still be inside. They're from Africa, but we've got them in the Asia section at the moment. They've not been here long. We'll transfer them into the Africa section eventually. Black and white stripes, as we all know, and when there's loads of them in the wild and they're getting chased by predators, they're galloping along and the stripes are bouncing all over everywhere. It dazzles the lions. They can't tell one end from the other. It dazzles the lions. So here's the other one coming out now, look. And if you're into quizzes, that's a good quiz question for you there. What is a group of zebra called? It's called a dazzle. Dazzle of zebra. Northern India, Nepal and Sri Lanka. Their favourite prey and food of tigers in the wild. Favourite prey and food of tigers in the wild, the axis deer with the spots on. The ones without the spots, the brown ones, they are elves deer. ELD, elves deer, they're from Thailand and Cambodia. Be found around the central West African region, around the Congo. Horns slope backwards over the head so they don't get tangled up in the jungle, and they are among the most dangerous animals in the park. Very territorial and very aggressive. In the wild, they will be responsible for killing more people than lions. And if attacked by predators, they will not back off, they'll stand and fight. The buffalo will drop its head down into its front legs so the horns are pointing forward, make a lot of noise and charge at its opponent, hoping to knock it over and trample it. And 9 times out of 10 the opponent will jump out the way. Even if it's a lion, they jump out the way. If not, the horns will fling it up in the air. But the buffalo will not back off. Over to your left, the rhinos are poached in the wild for their horns. The horns contain keratin. We've got that in our fingernails and toenails and in our hair. And the poachers will saw off the rhino horns and grind them down into a powder. And in some parts of the world, they can sell it for a lot of money because they wouldn't want to get in the way of that lot. The keepers are encouraging them over to her so they can get them into the buildings for the night. The wildebeest, as I said, massive herds, thousands or even up to 1 million. And if you've seen a documentary on the telly about wildebeest, thousands of them heading for the river to swim across. Some will drown, a lot will be taken by crocodiles, but most will get across because there is thousands of them. Put the food up and put it into a trailer. And they'll tow it behind the truck and it'll spread it everywhere so the little ones can have a chance without getting bullied by the big ones. What the keepers call a scatter feed. Well, I'm guessing it's possible they might have been round with the scatter feed because they're all in a line there, so they're all busy eating. But if you look closely, you see 1 or 2 little babies knocking about as well. One up the front there now, going onto the roof. There's a few going up the front, they jump up and grab the windscreen wipers and then climb onto the roof.
What's he doing?
Get back to your house. Yeah, we will take Sunday. Would you like that?
Just be lying around. On your right now. There's a couple on your left as well. What's happening here at this time of day, the keepers at this time of day will slowly entice them over to this compound further up. and they'll keep them in there until the last car's gone through, and then they have to be locked up for the night in the building. Because after the keeper's gone home, if the wind got up and any of these trees blew down onto the fence, the lions would then be able to get out. The fences are electrified, but if a tree blew down onto the fence, they could run up the tree trunk, be over and out, and we can't have that. So they have to be locked up at night. And the keepers don't have much trouble getting them to the compound because the lions know that's where they get fed. And they don't get fed out here in the reserve. We don't want them to relate food with cows. The keeper will keep it.
Oh, where's it going?
Samson's up on the move.
Where's it going? Where's it going?
Comes from China or Eastern Russia. No two tigers are identical, there's always a difference in the stripes, just like our fingerprints. Tibetan yak. They shed the coats in the summer, regrow in the winter. The coats will go right down to the floor. High up in the Himalayas near Mount Everest, where they come from, if they couldn't find water, they would eat snow. They got a lot more blood cells than normal cattle, and that helps push oxygen to the brain to cope with the thin air in the high altitude of the mountains where they come from. Tibetan yak. We have too much nutrients if they're struggling for food in the desert. They shed the coats in the summer, regrow in the winter. And the Fair David's deer, found in China 1865 by Father David, and almost wiped out with a flood in China. Also the Boxer Rebellion, they were killing them for food. Father David got some to Europe, they bred well, and Lord Derby collected some in the 1970s from Europe, brought them here to Knowsley, and they've done well here as well. There's one of the stacks just across the road in front of us there. The antlers take about 10 weeks to grow, and after the rutting season they'll fall off.